Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're going to explore something that might surprise you.
Oh, yeah.
The power of humor in learning new languages.
Interesting.
I know, right? Language learning can be tough, all those flashcards and grammar rules.
It can be a real slog sometimes.
But what if I told you there's a way to make it more fun and more effective, too?
Okay, I'm listening. What's the secret?
Well, it turns out laughter might be your secret weapon.
Laughter. Really? How does that work?
It's all about how our brains work. When we laugh, we release dopamine.
Dopamine, that's the feel-good chemical.
Right. And it also helps us remember things. So when you encounter a new phrase or word in a funny situation,
I say.
that dopamine surge helps lock it into your memory. It's much easier to recall later on.
So funny situations equals stronger memories. I like that.
Exactly. And there's research to back it up.
Oh, really?
Yep. Studies show that people who learn through humor, like funny videos or even stand-up comedy,
Yeah.
they retain way more vocabulary and grammar than those using traditional methods.
Wow. That's amazing. How much more are we talking?
Some research suggests up to a 50% increase.
50%? That's huge.
I know, right? So watching a comedian in the language you're learning could actually help you learn faster.
That's a study session I can get behind.
Absolutely. But it's not just about memory. Humor can also help with another big challenge.
What's that?
Anxiety. That feeling of, oh no, am I going to mess this up?
Oh, yeah, I know that feeling.
It can be a huge barrier for language learners.
For sure. You're so worried about making mistakes, you end up freezing up.
Exactly. But humor can help lower that anxiety when you're laughing and enjoying yourself.
You're more relaxed, more open to making mistakes.
Exactly. You're giving yourself permission to play with the language.
It takes the pressure off. And speaking of playing, I've heard shows like Friends are really popular with language learners.
That's true. It's full of witty dialogue and relatable situations.
Even if you don't understand every word.
The humor helps you grasp the context.
And pick up on new vocabulary naturally, like you're learning without realizing it.
It's sneaky learning. So it's not just about understanding the jokes.
Right.
It's about how those funny moments create memorable learning experiences.
Absolutely. Like, remember that scene in Friends where Chandler tries to teach Joey about sarcasm?
Oh, yeah, classic Chandler.
It's hilarious, but it's also a lesson on how tone of voice and context can change the meaning of a phrase.
You're learning about language nuances without even realizing it.
Exactly.
I never thought about it that way. And what about Phoebe's smelly cat?
Ah, smelly cat. Now that's a language learning goldmine.
I know, right? It's catchy, quirky.
And even if your English isn't perfect,
You're going to remember phrases like smelly cat because of the humor and repetition.
it's the power of music and humor combined.
So we've talked about memory and anxiety, but there's another level to this. How does humor help us understand the culture behind the language?
That's a crucial point.
Yeah.
Because humor often reflects a culture's values, beliefs, even their social norms.
It's like a window into their way of thinking.
Exactly. So by understanding a culture's humor, you gain a deeper understanding of the people.
And you can connect with them on a deeper level too, right?
Absolutely. Humor breaks down barriers and creates connections. It's like a universal language.
A way to bridge those cultural divides. I like that.
Me too. Laughter truly is a powerful tool.
So we're seeing how powerful humor is, not just for learning grammar and words, but for really getting a feel for the culture.
Right.
I'm curious, how do we actually use this in practice? How can we use humor to help us learn a new language?
Well, first of all, think about what makes you laugh in your own language.
Okay.
Do you enjoy stand-up comedy, funny movies, sitcoms?
Well, the above.
Great. We'll try finding similar content in the language you're learning.
So if I love rom-coms in English, I could try watching some in Spanish or French.
Exactly. You might be surprised how much you pick up just by watching something you enjoy.
And I don't have to worry about understanding every word at first.
Nope. Just try to get the main idea and have fun. The more you immerse yourself, the more it will start to click.
Okay, got it. But what if I'm not a movie person? Are there other ways to work humor into my learning?
Absolutely. Tons of resources use humor to teach, like podcasts, YouTube channels, even apps.
Oh, wow. That sounds way more fun than flashcards.
I know, right? One I really like is Easy German.
Easy German.
Yeah. It's a YouTube channel with funny videos about life in Germany. They explain things like cultural quirks and grammar and even slang.
Oh, cool. I'll have to check that out.
You should. It's really helpful. And if you're feeling adventurous,
Adventurous?
you could try creating your own jokes in the new language.
Whoa, hold on. That sounds a bit advanced. I'm no comedian.
You don't have to be. Even just playing with words or making funny observations can help you understand better.
So it can boost my confidence too, right?
Definitely. It's about embracing that playful side of language learning.
I like that. Having fun, making mistakes, not taking ourselves too seriously.
Exactly. Remember, laughter is your secret weapon. And there's another benefit we haven't talked about yet.
What's that?
It's about connection and understanding in the classroom.
In the classroom. You mean between students and teachers?
Yes. When a teacher uses humor, it creates a more relaxed and engaging atmosphere.
Students are more likely to participate,
They ask questions.
learn from their mistakes.
Exactly. It turns what could be a stressful experience into a fun, collaborative one.
Plus, everyone loves a teacher who can make them laugh.
Oh, absolutely. It helps with those tougher grammar lessons, too. But let's not forget the students themselves.
Oh, right.
They can also use humor to connect with each other.
Like sharing funny memes or jokes in the language they're learning.
Exactly. It makes the learning process feel less isolating.
It's a way to bond over shared experiences.
Humor becomes a bridge, not just between cultures, but also between individuals in a learning environment.
So whether you're cracking jokes with your classmates,
Or laughing along with a foreign comedian.
humor can enrich the language learning journey in so many ways.
I couldn't agree more. But we've been praising humor quite a lot. Are there any downsides? I mean, could using humor to learn backfire?
That's a great question. And honestly, it's important to be mindful of a few things.
Like what?
Well, humor is really subjective and culturally specific. What's hilarious in one culture?
Might be offensive or confusing in another.
Exactly. So a joke that works with my friends,
Might totally bomb with someone from a different background.
it's crucial to be aware of those cultural sensitivities.
Right. To avoid using humor that could be misunderstood or cause offense,
You want to make people laugh.
not make them uncomfortable.
It's always a good idea to do some research.
And familiarize yourself with the humor norms of the culture you're engaging with.
Good advice. So it's not just about being funny.
Right.
It's about being culturally sensitive and using humor appropriately and respectfully.
Exactly. And another thing to remember.
More things to remember.
Humor shouldn't replace solid learning techniques.
Like studying grammar and vocab.
Yes. While humor enhances learning, it's important to have that strong foundation.
So humor's like the icing on the cake, not the cake itself.
Perfect analogy. It's a powerful supplement, but it shouldn't overshadow the fundamentals.
Gotcha.
And finally, remember that humor works best when used strategically.
So it's not just about watching funny videos all day long.
Well, enjoying humorous content is great, but it's important to actively engage with the language.
What do you mean?
Pay attention to new words and phrases.
Okay.
Try to understand cultural references.
Uh-huh.
Even try to replicate the humor in your own conversations,
So be an active participant in the humor.
not just a passive observer.
Got it. The more I engage with the humor, the more I'll learn.
And the more you'll retain. Think of it as a fun way to practice.
Okay, I can do that. So the goal isn't to become a stand-up comedian, right? It's more about using it as a tool to make learning more enjoyable and effective.
Exactly. It's about finding those moments of joy and laughter that make you want to keep learning.
That makes sense. So to the recap, we've seen how humor helps us remember things,
Lowers anxiety.
gives us a glimpse into different cultures,
It makes classroom learning more fun and engaging.
and let's not forget the enjoyment factor. Learning a language shouldn't be a chore.
It should be an exciting adventure.
Absolutely. And humor helps us embrace that sense of playfulness,
I agree. When you're having fun, you're more likely to stick with it.
which is key for reaching fluency. But before we wrap up, I want to go back to something you mentioned earlier.
Oh, what's that?
Humor as a powerful tool for cultural understanding. Can you give some real-life examples?
Sure. One of the best ways to understand a culture's humor is through their comedy shows or movies.
Oh, like how British humor is known for its dry wit and sarcasm?
Exactly.
Yeah.
They often use irony and understatement, which could be very different from other cultures.
Yeah, and by watching those shows,
You not only pick up on language nuances,
but you also start to understand the values and perspectives that shape their humor.
it's a window into their worldview.
That's so cool. So by paying attention to the humor,
You can gain a deeper understanding of what makes a culture tick.
it's like learning a secret language within the language.
Exactly. And it works both ways. As you get familiar with a culture's humor,
You can also use humor more appropriately in your own interaction.
yes, it helps you build rapport and connect with people on a deeper level.
It can even help you navigate those awkward situations.
Absolutely. Humor is a bridge builder, both culturally and personally.
I love that. So, what's one key takeaway you want our listeners to remember about humor and language learning?
Embrace the joy of learning. Don't be afraid to laugh, make mistakes, and have fun.
That's great advice. Humor is a powerful tool. It can unlock new levels of understanding and connection.
Use it to your advantage.
Let the laughter guide your learning journey.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Well, that brings us to the end of another deep dive. Thanks for joining us, and a huge thanks to you for sharing your insights.
My pleasure. It's great being here.